I launched my very first digital workshop last year, and I felt like I failed. I was so embarrassed, venting to my husband and my mom and anyone who would listen. I was just a wreck. If you've ever put a lot of energy and work into a digital product that you were super excited about, and you finally pushed yourself to get it out there, but it doesn't go the way you envisioned, you might understand the feelings I was experiencing. So here's what happened. I started a waitlist for this workshop a month before I launched it, and I had over 200 people sign up. So I was really excited to start outlining it and putting all the promotional materials together. My goal was to generate $5,000 in revenue to prove that the workshop topic worked and I could continue to sell it over and over again with minor updates. So on day one of the promotion, I sent out my first email to a specific segment of my email list, and I got 2 signups immediately. I was really excited and grateful for them, and I was just anticipating more to come in throughout the day. But then nothing. For 3 days. No sales were coming in, and I admit that I didn't have enough promotional materials prepared to remind the people on the wait list that the doors were closing, but to be honest, I was kind of panicking. I think because I set this expectation for myself that all these sales were going to come flooding in after that one email. And I was so close to calling the whole thing off because I felt like I chose the wrong workshop topic. But somehow I convinced myself to keep going with the launch and not make any decisions until it was all done. So I sent out 2 more emails and even created a few social media posts in the last couple of days. Finally, sales were coming in, one after another. By the end of this short launch, my workshop generated over $6,000 in revenue, so I managed to hit my goal. I'm super grateful for the outcome, but also embarrassed at how much emotion I put into this. I always try to remind myself to remove emotion from my business and just focus on data, because you can't make any good business decisions when you're emotional and taking things personal. Nothing in business should feel personal, and I know that's easier said than done. So although I have many lessons to share with you from just this one story, the biggest takeaway is to complete your digital product launch before making any assumptions or decisions. If I had acted on emotion and called the whole thing off early, I never would have achieved the goal I was working towards. Many people will purchase on the last couple of days because there's more urgency, and a lot of people just need to be reminded a few times before they take action. Also, definitely have more promotional materials ready than I did before you announce it. I definitely rushed into this one and got way too confident when I saw how many people were already on the wait list. This brings me to one of the first ebooks I ever created during my first year of selling digital products. I remember I priced it at $39 and I spent about 3.5 weeks putting it together, which looking back now was way too long. You shouldn't need more than 1 week to put your ebook together. But anyway, my goal was to generate my first $1,000 that month from just that one ebook. So I launched it, which really just came to one static Instagram post that I created, telling people that my ebook was now available. That's all I did. I had a very small audience at the time, which is totally fine. You can be very profitable with a tiny but highly engaged audience. However, posting one image and hoping everyone sees it and takes action is not a strategy. On top of that, my ebook was actually really hard to find. My link in bio had a bunch of different links. It was kind of like Linktree, if you know what I'm talking about. So people had to click around just to get to it. And any amount of friction your customers experience while trying to make a purchase dramatically lowers the chance they'll actually follow through. So, can you guess how many ebook sales I made in my first month? 2. For that entire month, I made $78. I got 1 sale on the first day that I posted on Instagram, and then a random sale weeks later. I guess it must have been someone that randomly found my profile, saw that post, and decided to buy. So thank you for that. The thing is, setting a revenue goal is not nearly enough. And I know that makes sense in theory, but I feel like we still struggle to put this into practice. If I wanted to make $1,000 that month from my $39 ebook alone, I would have needed 25 people to buy it, which is 100% doable. I just needed to break all that down into a system of how I was going to get there. How many posts should I share? How much traffic do I need to bring to my checkout page? How can I make it super easy for people to find my checkout page? So the biggest takeaway from this is stop setting goals alone. focus on systems to achieve those goals. Now I have a $39 ebook that sells multiple times a week without me having to actively promote it. But that's because I have systems set in place to drive traffic to it. I have multiple social media posts guiding my audience to the link. I have YouTube videos where I verbally mention it and include it in my description. And I have an email newsletter where I can subtly promote it as well. By the way, if you want to sell educational digital products like ebooks, I put together a 36-page PDF guide that's all about how to create a digital product people actually want. You can grab that for free in the description box below. So after that very first ebook launch, I wasn't questioning how I should improve on this, which in hindsight is exactly what I should have done. I remember thinking, well, people are just clearly not interested in this topic. I made that one sale on the first day I posted about it on Instagram, and instead of seeing that as proof of concept, I treated it like a flop. But really, that one sale actually proved that someone somewhere saw the value and was willing to pay for it. However, I made a big mistake that I hope you learn from. I didn't keep going. I didn't continue to talk about it. I didn't bother improving the checkout page. I didn't test different messaging in more social media posts. Between the two sales I made that entire month, I actually didn't promote the ebook at all. Instead, I did what felt productive at the time. I decided to start over, completely from scratch, with an entirely different digital product. I went back into research and validation mode, started outlining and planning a whole new ebook, and as you might guess, this took another few weeks. I feel like many of us are guilty of constantly throwing away so much hard work we've already put into something. And just because the results we experience aren't immediate or impressive enough, we assume the whole thing was a failure and we need to go back to the drawing board. And that's exactly why so many people never experience compounding results. We expect extraordinary outcomes the first time around, and when we don't get them, we abandon the thing entirely instead of just making small adjustments. Many digital products don't necessarily need a full restart. They need clearer messaging, more visibility, and more time. So the lesson I want you to take from this is stop starting over every time results aren't instant. Growth comes from improving what already exists, not constantly rebuilding from scratch. Honestly, I've also been guilty of doing this when I get bored of a digital product in my business that's actually performing well. But for some reason, I feel the urge to abandon it and start something completely new just for the thrill of it. In reality, if I just stuck with the same digital course, for example, that I created years ago and just continued to build upon that, I could have experienced major compounding results because of it. Okay, there was a phase in my business where I was all in on Etsy, selling printables, templates, planners, you name it. And many of you probably found me because I shared a lot of Etsy tips and how to make consistent sales. And it's not that I'm against Etsy now. At the end of the day, it's simply a platform to sell your digital products on. But I did make a major mistake that I want to help you avoid, regardless of where you're uploading your digital products. At the time, my strategy was basically to create as many low-ticket digital products as possible and hope that something would sell. So I had a $5 set of positive affirmation cards, makeup-themed wall art, daily to-do lists, and then just random planners and printables scattered across my shop. The problem is that none of them were related to each other. And although some of them sold, every single product was attracting a different type of buyer. Someone buying affirmation cards wasn't necessarily interested in makeup wall art, and someone buying a daily to-do list wasn't being guided anywhere beyond that one purchase. So even when I made a few sales here and there, it felt so chaotic. I wasn't building the momentum I wanted. I wasn't building relationships with my customers, and I definitely wasn't building a business that felt profitable or intentional. What I should have done was focus on the journey I wanted to take one type of buyer through after they purchase a digital product from me. But the way I had it set up offered no natural next step for my customers. There was no reason for them to come back. And the biggest issue with this is that it capped my income, because when all you sell are disconnected $5 products, you're constantly chasing volume volume instead of building depth. That completely shifted for me when I started thinking in terms of a product ladder instead of individual products. An example of this is when I launched my digital workshop last year. It was priced at $97, but the real intention wasn't just to sell the workshop. It was to invite people into my world. Inside that workshop, I taught them a specific framework that I teach inside my signature program, but in a way that's easier to digest within the 2 hours we had. And at the end of it, I offered them a chance to join my signature program at a discount because they already invested in the workshop. Because of that structure, almost 50% of the people who joined the workshop went on to enroll in my signature program. This is proof that people are looking for a path to follow. They want to grow with you. Low-ticket products work best when they're designed to attract the right person and naturally lead them to the next step, not when they're scattered across completely different audiences with no connection. So the lesson here is to stop creating disconnected low-ticket products and start building a product ladder. Choose one audience, focus on serving them only, and let your offers build on each other. Okay, so this is a little embarrassing to admit, but I follow a lot of digital marketing experts. And I mean a lot. To the point that I try to avoid my phone sometimes because of how distracting social media can be for me. Anyway, these are people who have been in this space for years and they're very successful. And so they're constantly and confidently explaining why their strategy is the best one. And sometimes I'll be doing my own thing, feeling good about the strategy I have in place, and then I'll see someone post about what's working for them. There have been times that this made me suddenly stop and question everything I'm doing. I'll hear someone say low-ticket digital products are the best way to scale. Then someone else says low-ticket offers are a waste of time. And recently, I watched a creator who's been selling digital products for over 10 years talk about how the only way to reach higher income goals is through high-ticket coaching and that you should ditch low-ticket products entirely. Hearing something like this back then when I first started selling digital products would have triggered the shiny object syndrome so fast, and I would have ditched everything I was already building to focus on that strategy instead. I used to look at female entrepreneurs that were highly successful and think, if I just do what she's doing, I'll see the same results. And to a certain extent, yes, it's important that you find people you look up to and reverse engineer their success. But the problem is, if you're constantly switching gears and letting that shiny object syndrome take over, you're literally resetting your progress every time. And the truth is, there are so many ways to build a successful digital product business. Every strategy you hear about probably works really well, but only when you stick with it long enough. So now, when I feel that urge to switch everything because someone else is doing something different, I remind myself that it's not about finding the best strategy. It's about choosing one that aligns with you and seeing it all the way through. So the biggest takeaway from this is not letting distractions or shiny object syndrome hinder your progress. If you need to, reduce the amount of content you're consuming or mute some profiles that you find distracting and draining so you can just stay focused on what you're building. There was a moment with one of my students recently inside my YouTube course that really stuck with me. She simply asked me how to apply for affiliate programs so she could start earning affiliate income with her YouTube channel. And immediately I went into teacher mode, where I wanted to lay out all the technical steps, what to search, where to click, and what to fill out. Basically, the kind of answer you could probably get from Google or AI, to be honest with you. And then she stopped me mid-sentence and said, no, how do you do it? She explained that because I've had success with affiliate marketing over the years, she didn't want a generic step-by-step process. She wanted to see my exact process and what I would actually do if I wanted to apply to the specific affiliate programs that she was interested in. So I shared my screen and I walked her through exactly how I would apply to affiliate programs of 2 companies that she sent me. And halfway through, she said, "This is exactly what I've been looking for. Now I know what I need to do." That moment really stuck with me because it showed me something so important, especially with where AI is going. AI can give you steps, templates to customize, and generate a lot of really good ideas. But it can't replace your lived experience. People don't pay for more information anymore. There's an abundance of that online. They pay for your perspective. They want to see how you solved the problem, what mistakes you made, and what actually worked for you. That's the part that AI can't replicate. And it's also why creating digital products around your real experience will always be valuable, no matter how advanced technology gets. I see a lot of people panicking because they're questioning if digital products are even profitable anymore, considering how much AI can do. This is where your story, your process, and the way you do things matters more than ever. So the takeaway here is AI cannot replace you. So lean into your lived experience when creating your digital products. This applies to all types of digital products, whether that's ebooks, templates, mini courses, PDF guides, you name it. I see so many people making this next mistake that I can relate to when I first started selling digital products. And that's spending way too much time trying to build the perfect digital product. This creates a lot of frustration, overwhelm, overthinking, and procrastination. I used to do this with my early ebooks, templates, and mini courses, and I would spend weeks, sometimes months, tweaking, refining, adding more lessons, more pages, more bonuses, all before a single person even bought it. And the thing is, I still understand why I did it back then and why people still do it now. When you're putting something out into the world for the first time, it feels vulnerable and you want it to be absolutely flawless. You want people to be impressed and you want to feel confident charging something for it. But what I've learned after doing this for years now is that there's no such thing as a perfect digital product. And more importantly, that's not even what people are looking for. All they're looking for is an efficient path to getting the result they want. A really good example of this is my YouTube course that I launched early last year. I put the first version of it out, and at the time, it was everything I knew based on my experience and everything my students needed. It wasn't perfect, but it was clear and actionable. But the real benefit of all this came when my founding members started going through it and consuming all the lessons and resources. They were asking really good questions during our Q&A calls, and I started asking them for honest feedback. I wanted to know what parts of my lessons were the most clear and impactful, but more importantly, what parts felt confusing or unnecessary? Did they feel like some things were missing? Or was it loaded with too much information that it was almost overwhelming? The feedback you get from your first buyers is gold because that's what you can use to update and improve on your digital product going forward. So over the course of the year, I collected all of that feedback and created a running list of updates I wanted to make inside a Google Doc. Only after having real students, real data, and real feedback did I go back and update the course. I spent a couple of weeks improving the lessons, refining the tutorials, adding better resources, and tightening things up based on what people actually needed. And this new version of the course is way better than the first because it's based on actual customer experience. But I could never have known how to improve on it if I didn't deliver it to begin with. You have to get your digital product out into the market as soon as possible so you can get customer feedback as soon as possible. So if you're sitting on an idea right now, endlessly tweaking it, telling yourself you just need one more week before it's ready, this is your reminder. Stop trying to create the perfect digital product because I promise you, it doesn't exist. It has to evolve over time, no matter what. And that's a good thing. Put it out there and let people use it. They'll tell you directly what to change about it to make it even better. If you've ever experienced burnout from trying to sell digital products, this next lesson is for you. This one is very near and dear to my heart because I have been so guilty of spreading myself too thin, trying to be active on every platform, and wondering why my sales were at a plateau. And I don't know about you, but I personally tend to get physically sick when I experience burnout. My body literally shuts down. I end up catching a bad cold or flu, and I'm forced to take a couple of weeks off just to recover. So after this happened to me a few times in a short period of time, I knew I had to make a change. And that was to focus only on what was working rather than trying to be active anywhere and everywhere. Mind you, my digital product business was a side hustle for over 4 years while I was working full time. So I already had too much on my plate. Anyway, for a long time, whenever something didn't work, My instinct was to do more. I had to be on more platforms, create way more content, come up with more ideas. And I thought being everywhere was the answer. The shift away from that eventually happened when I started selling the same digital product consistently for a few months and forced myself to pause and actually look at what was working and what wasn't. After about 3 months of promoting the same digital product, I went back and looked at my analytics, like which posts actually led to sales, which emails got the most clicks and replies, which YouTube videos brought in the most traffic. And I realized that only a small handful of posts were responsible for the majority of my sales. A couple of strategies were clearly doing the heavy lifting, and a lot of the things I was spending time on honestly weren't moving the needle at all. So instead of adding more, I started removing things off my plate. Only then did things start to feel easier and more profitable. Because making more digital product sales comes from doing the right things consistently. And the only way to do that is to look at your analytics at least every 3 months and adjust accordingly. The biggest takeaway here is to figure out what's actually bringing in sales and simply do more of that. Let go of the rest. If you're thinking of selling educational digital products and helpful resources like ebooks, workshops, template bundles, or courses, you can check out my free 36-page PDF guide that's all about how to create a digital product people actually want. That'll be linked for you down below. Let me know in the comments what digital product you're currently working on and what mistake I've made that resonated with you most. You can check out this video next for the 3 digital products that are guaranteed to sell, even if you're a beginner. I'll see you there.